I don't know. Yeah, we were just a bunch of kids. I'm serious that we were not ambitious at all. Because when we were younger, we never thought we would be able to make an album. And because back then in the early 90s, we didn't have any Japanese bands who you know who were internationally active. So we never thought the Japanese extreme metal band would be able to release an album or tour internationally. So we weren't ambitious at all. And we were still not ambitious even during the recording of Scorn Defeat, because because after we made the 7-inch EP Requiem for Fools in 1990, I don't know, two or three, I sent out all the the cassette tapes to the record labels I knew of from all over the world. But Euronymous was the only one who showed interest in us. So, when we got an offer from Euronymous, of course we had to say yes because we had no other choice at all. And but at the same time, Death Like Silence Production, owned by Euronymous, was not very active either. So he had a financial problem too. So I was I was not even sure if the album would be out as planned, because that could fall through very easily because of the financial problem or something. So I don't know. We just we just recorded the album and that was it. We didn't have any hope or ambition or anything at all. Surprising that we are going to play the entire album after it was recorded, after 30 years. We never thought about it because, to be honest, I didn't think we would be still together when we were 30 back then, because in the end of 80s or in the early 90s, everyone in the extreme metal scene were like in their 20s, or probably the Slayer guys or Venom guys were even in the late 20s. So it was very hard to picture that you were still played extreme metal when you were over 30. So seriously, I never thought I would be still inside when I was 30, but now I'm 53 now. So it's totally, it's beyond my imagination. Probably, seriously, back, you know, actually Slayer came to Japan for the first time in 1990, December of 1990. Then that was a big shock to me. The concert was really great. So at that moment, I decided to stick to thrash metal from the 80s, no matter what the trend was, because around 89 or 90, everybody was enthusiastic about death metal and grindcore, and nobody cared about the especially the evil thrash metal from the 80s. I mean, before Master of Puppets, like a Creator, Sodom, or Hellhammer, Bathory, nobody cared about it. But I realized that's was the music I loved, not death metal or grindcore. So probably Euronymous had the same feeling about thrash metal and death metal and grindcore things. That's one of the things. And another thing is Euronymous somehow likes the stuff from strange countries. Like he really liked the bands from the Colombia or South America. He liked the bands from the Greece. So of course Japan is a very exotic country to the heavy metal community, I guess. So probably that was one of the reasons he was interested in Sigh, because we came from some strange country, very unusual country for extreme metal. Here in Japan, it's the same everywhere because people were totally into earache stuff, grindcore death metal. So probably us and Abigail, and maybe Sabat were only three bands who still loved totally outdated thrash metal. Well, that's a very tough question because, of course, if we re-record it, we can play much better, we can arrange much better, but that does not mean this album sounds better because, what should I say? It's it's very common case that the first album is the best because it's got some kind of it's very hard to explain, but it's not about technique, it's not about composition things at all. But Scorn Defeat has a magic atmosphere which we will never ever capture again. So probably, yeah, as I said, I don't think it's a good idea to re-record it with today's technology, today's technicality.
Yeah.
It's just ruins the magic of the album. Actually, these days I'm listening to Scorn Defeat a lot because we will play the album in entirety very soon. But to be honest, it sounds horrible. The production is horrible, and the playing, playing is sloppy. But now I don't think I wouldn't change anything. But back then, I thought I wanted to change a lot of things, especially right after the album was done. But now it's okay. It's sloppy, but it's good because it's sloppy. Its production is horrible, but that's one of the charms of the album. So I wouldn't change anything. Well, I think I was born in 1970, so in the 70s that kind of occultic things were very very common. I think it was the same everywhere all over the world, like UFO and some spiritual things were very very popular in this. I think it's some kind of backlash against Vietnamese war, and the materialism went too far, so people were seeking something spiritual everywhere all over the world. So it's the same here in Japan. So when I was a little kid, it was very common to watch some Japanese occultic stuff like ghost photos, or some. It's very common for the Japanese kids to read very scary horror Japanese mangas too.
Yeah.
So it was very very natural for me. That's one of the the part of myself. So even when I was a little kid, I was totally into horror movies, Japanese horror movies, Japanese horror mangas. So that's one of the reasons I got into thrash metal, because thrash metal was very evil and very satanic and violent. So that was one of the charms. So it was very natural for me. I didn't have any other choice there. Yeah, because I didn't want to sing about Satan, because here in Japan, almost nobody believes in Jesus Christ. Nobody believes in Christianity. So I didn't see any point in, being against Christianity or Jesus. So that was, if we did that, that could be, something very superficial or very, it's a hypocrisy thing. So I thought, I didn't want to sing about Satan. So that's the reason I prefer to sing about Japanese occultism, which I was totally into back then. Well, because I have two big musical backgrounds, because my mother was a classical piano teacher, so I was taking a classical piano lessons from at the age of 4 and taking the lesson for 20 years. So, classical music is, one of the biggest musical backgrounds of mine. And I got into heavy metal when I was a teenager. So classical music and heavy metal are the two biggest backgrounds. So it was very natural for me to take in classical music into Sigh's music. And another reason is that I'm not a guitarist, because my main keyboard, my main instrument is of course keyboard and piano, because I was taking the lesson for a long time. So I was composing the songs mainly on the piano. So that's one of the reasons that it was easy for me to take in other genre and things. And because synthesizer, keyboards are totally different from guitar or bass or drums, because synthesizer can be a substitute of any instrument, any orchestra or even human choir that can replace any instrument. So I think that was one of the reasons that Sigh got very eclectic. If I was a guitarist, I wouldn't think it had happened. I don't know. I've learned music theories when I was younger because, well, one of the goals for me was to write the music that was very scary, like horror soundtracks. So around Gastric Funeral Theater or around Hell Horror Hell, I tried to analyze the horror soundtracks, why they sounded that scary. Then I realized a lot of the horror soundtracks used 20th 20th century's classical music, very avant-garde classical music. So I tried to study the avant-garde music, but I realized I had to learn the normal theories first, normal theories first to do something avant-garde. So I studied the classical harmonic theories from the scratch when I was 20 or something like that. So it changed my composition technique a lot. So yeah, probably so it's totally different from typical heavy metal guitarist because I compose on the piano or I compose in my head or writing the scores. So it should be totally different from usual thrash metal or extreme metal bands, I guess. Well, I don't know if the circumstances allow. We're gonna use a lot of fire and blood and that kind of stuff too. So and it's gonna be a very theatrical performance. And of course, we're gonna play the whole song from A Victory of Dakini to Taste Defeat without any talking or interruption at all. So we're gonna play from the first to the end entirely. So yeah, I'm sure people will love it. And of course, during the normal set, we're gonna play everything from Scorn Defeat to the latest one, Sigh. So it's gonna be the set list that covers our whole career as long as 30 years. No, it's not really difficult. I don't know. Somehow, I know our albums may sound sound different from album to album, but somehow when we play the songs live, it flows very well.
Mhm.
So well, it's okay. And now we have new members, and they can play anything. Before every member complain like I cannot play this, I want to play this, that kind of stuff. But now the new members are great. They can play anything from any album, so it's very easy to finalize the set list. Well, I don't know. It's no, it's just hard because it was before digital era. It's all analog recording, so you had to play the song whole through. The punching in was not easy at all. So it was very, very tiring. And I remember the guitarist got fainted somehow. He even didn't realize, because when we were mixing the album, he kept fainting again and again. So I just asked him what was going on with him, but he even didn't realize he fainted at all. So we just called the ambulance because we were worried very much. But I really don't know what happened at all. That was one of the biggest memories I have about during the recording.
Mhm.
But other than that, well, I don't know. That was my first decent recording. Of course, before that we recorded 7-inch EP and demos, but recording an album was that was the first experience for me. So what I remember was when we finished mixing the album and I sent the master to Euronymous, he said he told me to listen to the album for a month every day. Then even if after that I liked the album, he would give a go. That was his, well, but we were young and we were very much looking forward to releasing the album. that was a a bit tough order because we
Yeah,
wanted to make it out as soon as possible. But he was right, I just kept listening to the album every day. I just started finding out a lot of points I wanted to redo.
Mm.
So we actually went back to the studio and we recorded some parts. So that was the first lesson we learned from Euronymous. But now of course, once the album is mixed, first we do is we just keep listening to it to make sure if everything is fine. But we were too young and inexperienced back then, so we didn't know what to do. Yeah, because he said that the Varg Vikernes from Burzum, he liked Scorn Defeat a lot, and it was very surprising for him because Varg always talked shit about any other band. So somehow he liked Scorn Defeat, and Euronymous was very much surprised about it. That was one of the memories I had about the album. Wow, I don't know. Of course, it means a lot. Well, without Scorn Defeat, I don't think I'm here to talk to you today. And as I said, Euronymous was the only one who showed the interest in Sigh back then. So without him, probably we had ended up as a demo band and split up without releasing any albums because we are still together because we still have the record labels who release our albums. So Euronymous, I can't thank more to Euronymous, and he meant a lot to us. And of course, Scorn Defeat means a lot to us. I mean, it means everything probably. Without Scorn Defeat, anything after that wouldn't have happened. I understand, so many fans claim that's the best work we've done. It's as I said, Scream Bloody Gore is the best death album. Bonded by Blood is the best Exodus album. Maybe this is a disgrace to the artists, but I understand the fans, how fans feel about Scorn Defeat, and if they love it, it's obviously it's got some magic atmosphere. Well, I don't know. It's actually my first intention about Shiki was to recreate something like Scorn Defeat. That was the starting point of Shiki. It ended up something totally different, but still, I think it's got some Scorn Defeat vibe. Like the first track, Kuroikage, has obviously a Victory of Dakini vibe in it. I don't know if fans can detect it, but it's got something similar. So, Shiki may not be very far from Scorn Defeat. The albums like Hangman's Hymn or Scenes from Hell are quite far from Scorn Defeat, but probably Shiki is not that far. Yeah, probably Shiki is a Scorn Defeat with today's technology and today's composition technique and today's playing skill. Maybe I guess. Hello, this is Mirai from Sigh. So we are coming to Europe very soon. So get your ticket now for 30 years of Eastern Darkness. Don't miss it.